In a world where football legends are born in academies, polished by privilege, and backed by global systems, one man rose from the dirt roads of Monrovia with nothing but raw talent, faith, and an unbreakable spirit. This is not just a football story. It's the story of a boy who conquered Europe, won the world's highest football honor, the Ballon d'Or, and then returned home, not as a player, but as a president. This is the story of George Weah. George Talan Mana Opong Usman Weah was born on October 1st, 1966, in Claratown, Monrovia, a cramped, impoverished neighborhood where hope was as scarce as clean water. His father, a mechanic, earned barely enough to feed the family. His mother sold food by the roadside. George grew up in a world where children matured too fast, where every sunrise was another fight for survival. But amid poverty, there was joy, and that joy came from football. For George, football wasn't just a game, it was an escape, a sanctuary. His first football wasn't made of leather, it was made of hope. He'd gather old rags, tie them together, and play from dawn till dusk. No boots, no referees, no goals. Just dreams. The local boys called him Opong Weah. Even then they knew. There was something different about him. He wasn't just fast, he had purpose. He didn't just score, he inspired. Every time he kicked that homemade ball, he imagined himself in a packed stadium, wearing a real jersey, hearing thousands chant his name. He didn't know how. But deep down, he believed he'd make it happen. And as Liberia's civil unrest began to cast its shadow, George's love for football became his shield against despair, his only way out of darkness. By his late teens, George was already a local hero. Playing for young survivors and later Invincible 11, he stunned crowds with his power and pace. He was unstoppable, raw, fearless, and unpredictable. People came from distant towns to watch the boy from Claratown who danced with the ball as if it were part of his soul. But Liberia had no global spotlight, no big scouts, no media coverage. George's dreams seemed trapped within Africa's borders. Until destiny intervened, a Cameroonian scout noticed him. Within months, Weah was invited to play for Tonnerre Yaoundé in Cameroon, a move that would test his courage and faith. It was his first flight, his first journey away from home, away from his family. He couldn't speak French, he had little money, and no idea what awaited him. But he had one thing that no one could take from him: belief. In Cameroon, George's raw power and humility won hearts. He played like a man possessed, chasing every ball as if his life depended on it. Then one day in the stands sat a Frenchman with sharp eyes and a quiet presence: Arsène Wenger. Wenger was scouting for AS Monaco. He saw in Weah what few others could see: greatness waiting to be shaped. Wenger said later, "I saw someone who could change the way the world saw African players." In 1988, George Weah crossed the Mediterranean to join AS Monaco. From Monrovia's streets to the glamorous French Riviera, the impossible had happened. To many, he was just another African experiment. But George didn't respond with words. He responded with goals. At Monaco, under Wenger's guidance, he grew, not just as a striker, but as a symbol of African brilliance. He helped Monaco win the French Cup in 1991 and became one of the most feared forwards in Europe. Then came Paris Saint-Germain in 1992. In the capital, George became a superstar. He scored breathtaking goals in the Champions League, winning League One and earning African Footballer of the Year. But it was at AC Milan in 1995 that George Weah reached immortality. In a league built on defense, he tore through the world's toughest defenders. His famous solo goal against Verona, running from his own half, weaving through every opponent before scoring, remains one of football's greatest ever goals. That goal was more than a moment. It was a message from Africa to the world. We are here. We are capable. We are world-class. That same year, George Weah made history, winning the Ballon d'Or, the FIFA World Player of the Year, and African Footballer of the Year, all in the same year. He became the first and only African to win football's highest honor. The world bowed to his talent, But George didn't forget where he came from. He carried Liberia in his heart, always. But fame has two faces. As his glory grew, so did the battles behind the scenes. Weah faced racism in stadiums. Monkey chants, boos, and abuse reporters questioned his intelligence. Opponents kicked him harder because of his skin. Europe celebrated his goals, but not always his identity. He fought through injuries and club politics, sometimes left isolated in a world that never fully accepted him. But George Weah never answered hate with hate. He answered with grace and excellence. Then back home, Liberia was collapsing. Civil war destroyed homes, dreams, and lives. Weah's family fled for safety, and yet he kept returning. He built homes for refugees. He funded youth football academies. He spoke to the United Nations about peace. When others built empires, George built hope. When others chased wealth, George chased healing. After football, most stars fade into memory. But George Weah's journey was only beginning. He returned to Liberia, a country wounded and divided, with one mission: to rebuild it. In 2005, he ran for president. Many laughed. They called him a footballer, not a leader. He lost, but George didn't give up. He went back to school, earning degrees in the United States, studying politics and public administration. He trained himself, not for sport, but for service. When he ran again in 2017, the people remembered. They remembered the boy who never forgot them, the man who always returned home. This time, they gave him their trust. George Weah became the 25th president of Liberia, the only Ballon d'Or winner ever to lead a nation. He stood before the people and said, "I have spent my life in stadiums, but today I am in the greatest stadium of all, my country." He didn't just change football history, he changed the meaning of success itself. From the dusty streets of Claretown to lifting the Ballon d'Or, and then to the highest office of his nation, George Weah's story is one of divine destiny. He taught the world that greatness is not born from comfort, it's born from struggle. He showed Africa that no dream is too distant, no child too poor, no beginning too humble. His legacy isn't just in goals or trophies, it's in every young African who dares to believe that their story can change the world. So to every dreamer watching this, wherever you are, remember George Weah's journey. Believe in your dream, protect it, and never stop running towards it. This is Sports Space 4, where African football stories come alive. Subscribe,